All right, guys, welcome back to the Chili Bowl Pool Selection Show here on the Rodman Rundown. Today, we'll be going through Group 4 and making our picks. As always, we want to remind you of the pools that you can enter and make the Chili Bowl more fun to pay attention to. At Corey Nisha on Twitter or at Dirt Track Pools on Twitter are the two places to go. I will be doing pools for both of them. They are both a $30 entry fee to participate. And if you don't have Twitter, you can go in the link, the description below, and there is links to go right to the Google Doc to get involved with that. Also, the giveaway that we're doing here on the channel, if the pool that I'm doing here finishes in the top 25, I will give away 3 items, top 50, 2 items, top 100, I will give away 1 Rodman Rundown merchandise item. And how to enter, comment your picks below in the comment section for this particular video. Hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed. And if we are able to place at least in the top 100, 1 or possibly 3 people will get a random choice of either a Rodman Rundown t-shirt, the coffee cup with the Rodman Rundown logo on it, or the mini wing panel as well with the logo on it as well. So if you guys are interested, make sure to hit those items right there, comment, like, and subscribe. And let's get started with Group 4 picks for today. Okay, continuing on. So let's see who we want to go with for Monday. I've got the red marker here for guys that I'm going to cross off the list here. Right off the bat, I'm going to get rid of Kyle Bellum and Mario Klauser. As you can see, I mean, it's not horrendous equipment, right? I mean, Klauser's got a Phantom chassis, but he also has an SR11X engine. And then for Bellum, it's a Spike Mopar. And I think last year or the year before, I remember him blowing up. So obviously, when you make these picks, you want to make sure you're taking guys that have good stuff. You're not have to worry about them breaking or blowing up or having anything stupid like that happen and ruining your chances of winning or placing in the money for the pool. And unfortunately, I hate to do this because he's a broadcast partner of mine, a friend of mine, but I am also going to mark off Dylan Welch, even though he is one of very few guys on the board that has actually made the Saturday show before. If you listen to the car he's driving, he's definitely downgraded in equipment over the last couple of years. He used to run a Chad Bow car almost every single year. And now he's running a Ripper PME M1. So that does not, I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to stay away from it. It sounds like the cousin to R2D2 is his engine, a PME M1. So I'm going to stay away from Dylan Welch. Maybe he'll impress me or something, and I'll have to go talk, or I'll text him and say, hey, I screwed up not taking you. But for right now, I'm going to mark him off. I'm also going to mark off Daniel Adler, but I'm not going to say that Adler is bad by any means, because I think he is good. And he does run quite a bit throughout the year. But the last time that he made the Saturday show was 2010. So it's been 15 years for him. And as you can see, I've got a couple of asterisks on this group, particularly towards the top half of there. I've got Roger Crockett with a asterisk next to him. He is in a car that I am very, very impressed with. I love them each and every year, and they seem to get some pretty good results. It's going to be one of the cars that is fielded by Johnny Herrera. It is a Spike Stanton SR11X for Roger Crockett. He's a teammate to Robbie Price, Caleb Stelzig, and Jace Park, and these cars are very fast, so I'm going to have an asterisk next to Roger Crockett. I'm going to leave Tanner Holmes open because I do think he is a choice driving for the Kyle Bielman cars. I think it's a Spike SR11X as well. I've got an asterisk next to Emilio Hoover. One reason is because I love his name, and I love that movie with Will Ferrell and that other guy where Emilio, Night at the Roxbury. If you know what that is, then make sure to comment down below and let me know, because that is a great movie, underrated movie. And I think Emilio Hoover is a pretty good driver. He's gotten better and better, and he used to be an issue with wrecking and things like that, but he's gotten much better. He's driving a Link chassis with a Toyota engine, so pretty good equipment there for him. And the other guy that I have an asterisk next to is Alex Sewell. He's never made the Saturday feature, but he has been very close in the past. He's been on the C and the B main before on Saturday night. A Spike Stanton chassis or Spike Stanton engine. So it's not like he's got the best of the best, right? A Link chassis or a Spike chassis with a Speedway tote or anything like that. He doesn't have incredible equipment, meaning I had to write next to his name, but I think that this guy is a very good driver. He is underrated, very good at hitting the bottom, tries to stay out of trouble. As long as there's no engine issues, which there has been in the past, if I remember correctly, then he's a guy to watch for, I think. And honestly, looking at those 3 with the asterisks next to him, Sewell, Hoover, and Crockett, I think I'm going to go with Alex Sewell. Like I said, Crockett's very good, but he doesn't run a midget all that much. out of everybody in that group, he's probably got the best equipment overall. Johnny Herrera, I think that those cars are very good, but I'm going to go with Alex Sewell in the 8. Might be a little bit of an underrated pick, which you might be noticing that trend with my pool picks, trying to go with a couple of guys that maybe not a lot of people know about. Now, moving on to Tuesday. Nobody in Black Riding on Tuesday. Nobody's ever made the show on Saturday for the Group 4 picks. We've got RJ Johnson up there in the 1R. We've got Darren Nida in the 3D. Jaden Rogers in 7R. Riley Kreisel in 19K. Stevie Sussex in the 20Z. You got Derek Hagar up there in the 41D. Nick Drake, 55D. The 68W of TJ Smith and the 97W of Alex Karpowicz. You'll see that Karpowicz is a Rookie of the Year contender at the Chili Bowl. He's in a Keith Kunz car, but right off the bat, I looked at his results from his past midget starts. I was not super impressed, so I'm going to put a red mark next to him. Also a red mark next to TJ Smith because that team and driver will not be there. These 6'8 Motorsports guys, they were having some issues with that fire down in LA County. And so they had to turn around and go back home. They will not be there, so make sure you do not take them in the pool. TJ Smith along with Ronnie Gardner. Hope all is well out there with Mitchell Johnson and everybody, but it does suck to see them not make the haul. Also, who else am I going to mark off here? I'm going to mark off Darren Nida. A Spike with a K-Tech engine. I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to mark him off. I like Darren Nida, but I don't see him being better than some of the guys that I have marked down. I'm going to also mark off RJ Johnson. I like him as well, but I just don't think he's going to be better than the guys that I have the asterisk next to. One of them is Jaden Rogers. He's a teammate to Chris Carroll. He's one of those Ramco speed equipment cars that I talked about yesterday, saying I don't really like them a whole lot, but I think that Jaden Rogers has the best of them all. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of those cars, and Rogers has the best one. It's a King Chassis Speedway Toyota. And so I've got a asterisk next to him. Jaden Rogers is very good in a non-wing sprint car, and I think he'll be all right. Also, Riley Kreisel in the 19K. That kid is pretty damn good as well without the wing on top of the car. Doesn't run a midget too often, but I think he's a guy that stands on the gas, and I like watching him. And then also another guy that I just don't know how he's in Group 4 each and every year, it seems like. He has never made the Saturday show, but I would not be shocked at all if it happened this year, and that is who I'm going to pick, and it is Nick Drake. Nick Drake out of Charlotte or the North Carolina area, 55D, just always solid at the Chili Bowl. As long as nothing happens, I think he's a guy that will be on the fringe of making it out of a B main on Saturday night. Keep an eye on the 55D of Nick Drake. A lot of people might not really know who that is. He doesn't race a ton each and every year, but he's going to get those practice laps. He's going to be able to, have a night off, watch how things go on Monday, and then get right back at it on Tuesday. So Nick Drake is my guy in Group number 4 for Tuesday. Now, moving on to Wednesday, you've got Sammy Swindell on the board in car number 1. You've got Brandon Whalety in the 3W. You got Shelby Hinton in the 4B. You got Jet Yantis, one of the Rookie of the Year contenders, in the 4Y. Steve Buckwalter in the 25B. Max Adams in the number 40. You got Matt Williamson, big block modified standout, the 71P. And then you've got Colton Cottle out there in the 81C. You'll see that there are quite a few drivers written in the black ink for this one. Sammy Swindell, let me get the red marker out. The time has come and gone for Slam and Sammy. I do not anticipate seeing him. If he makes a Saturday feature, the place might burn to the ground. I just don't see it happening. It hasn't happened in 5 years. He's kind of been off the pace the last couple of years. We know he's obviously a little bit older and whatnot. Obviously an absolute legend, but I just do not think he's going to be better than some of the guys that he has grouped along with here on Wednesday. I really like Brandon Whalety. I've got him with an asterisk next to him. He hasn't made a Saturday feature since 2005, but he is in some pretty good equipment here. Let me double check. It's a Bullet Esslinger, so it's not the greatest stuff, but Whalety is always solid. He's always right there around the top 10 on his prelim night. He just hasn't been able to make the show in quite a few years. You got Shelby Hinton up there. I've got an asterisk next to him. Beast Chevrolet, a teammate to Bill Baylog. This is the car that Jason McDougal ran through the alphabet soup a couple years ago, and I think Shelby Hinton is a pretty solid driver. Jet Yantis, I'm going to mark him off as well. Really young kid. Needed one of those waivers to get into the Chili Bowl. I think he's going to be on the throttle, but I cannot trust him with my pool quite yet. Doesn't have a ton of midget experience, so I'm going to mark him off for now. Steve Buckwalter, going to mark him off as well. 2011, the last time that he made the show on Saturday night. He's driving one of those elite chassis. I just am not super impressed with them. And so for the Royersford Rocket, going to mark him off. But if he does do well, I'm going to be cheering him on. I like Steve Buckwalter, but not enough to pick him here in the pool. Max Adams driving a Spike Honda. If that engine does not blow up, I think that is a very nice car. And Max Adams, non-wing sprint car driver, racing primarily in Indiana, runs quite a bit with USAC and has had success on the USAC trail. I think he's a guy that I'm going to leave unmarked. I don't know. I'm not going to mark off Matt Williamson. I'm going to ask, some of my insiders that are going to be at the practice day to watch him and see what his laps look like. I think the big block modified guys can adapt to midgets very, very quickly. We saw what Larry White did the first time he ever showed up to the Chili Bowl, and he made the Saturday main event. Maybe Matt Williamson is the next guy to do it. He is driving a Keith Kunz Motorsports car. And the final driver that I'm going to mark off here is another driver written in black, and that is Colton Cottle. Made the show back in 2015, but similar to the situation that Dylan Welch is in, he is driving a Stealth RB2, which sounds even closer, maybe a brother of R2D2, the RB2 engine. That is just not going to do it for me. If Colton Cottle was in a car like a Max Adams car, Brandon Welty, I think he'd be a guy to watch for, but I just cannot do the RB2 engine. Sorry about that, Colton Cottle fans, but maybe if he got in a different car, I would think better of him. But here's who I'm going to take in this group. There's a couple guys that I like. I like Max Adams. I want to see what Matt Williamson will do. But I think that this guy is always solid. You can count on him to not crash the car. It is going to be Brandon Welty. So Welty is going to be my Group 4 pick on Wednesday night, and we'll see what he can do. One of the Badger midget drivers, so runs a little bit up there in Wisconsin. Not a ton, but runs quite a bit. Stays in the seat, stays warm in the seat. He's not going to be showing up to the Chili Bowl and not knowing anything that's going on and having to get used to it again. So I really like him. I'm going to take him on Wednesday night. Now, moving on to Thursday, we've got a couple drivers written in black. We've got Cole Bodine in the Cruz Pedregon number 1A. Last time he made the show was 2021. That was driving a Clausen Marshall racing car. Got Matt Sherrill on there, the 2D, 13G of Elijah Guile, the 14D of David Gasper, the 17 Cy Lynch sprint car driver, going to be making his first ever appearance at the Chili Bowl. You got Casey Schumann on there. Last time he made the show was 2015, and a new ride for him this year. The 45X of Robbie Price. He's a teammate to the already mentioned Roger Crockett. And then you got Frank Flood on the board as well in the 81F, driving a Jody Rosenboom car. Spike Esslinger for Frank Flood. And so for me, right off the bat, you got the two asterisks on there. Matt Sherrill, one of the tallest midget drivers of all time. Redhead guy. You might see him walking around the building if you're going to be there. Matt Sherrill is always solid. I don't know how he hasn't made the Saturday feature before. He's in one of those second opinion auto cars, which in my opinion, they're pretty good machines. Let me double check here. For Matt Sherrill, the car and the engine. It is a Spike with an SR11, teammate to Tanner Berryhill, teammate to Darren Kaufman, teammate to what looks like Luke Storer and a couple of other guys as well. I am a big fan of Matt Sherrill. I've got him marked down. And the other guy that I'm very excited to see how he races is David Gasper, who, in my opinion, should go to the DMV and change his name to David Gasser because he is absolutely on the throttle. He is a bona fide throttle jockey, if I've ever seen one before. He got a win, maybe 2 wins this year at the USAC CRA Series, one of them coming at Paris Auto Speedway, one of them coming at Ventura, I think. This guy stands on the throttle. He is going to be driving let me double check here, a Spike Stanton SR11X. And I really like Gasper. The one thing I will say about him is he's a little bit scary. Like, if he doesn't wreck, he's going to be top 10, I think, on the prelim night or close to it. Maybe like a 12th place run. But he does have that chance to crash because he is just on the gas at all times. I think for the safe pick in this group, I'm going to take Gasper in a different pool, but for this one, I think I'm going to take Matt Sherrill in the 2D. He seems to be the guy for me. Cole Bodine, you could probably pick him maybe, but I don't really like the Cruz Pedregon cars, and Cole Bodine has not raced a ton here over the last couple of years. And looking at the rest of them, Cy Lynch, first time in a midget. You can't expect him to light the world on fire. Casey Schumann's been 10 years since he made the show the last time. 21X, he is driving a Spike Toyota for Sean Deskins. I'm a big Sean Deskins fan, and I've seen Deskins go pretty fast in the past, but I'm going to lay off a Schumann, maybe in a third pool for a little bit of a long shot there. Robbie Price doesn't run a midget very often, and then Frank Flood, the king of micros, hasn't ever seemed to really get it going in the midget. We've never seen him do anything too incredible at the Chili Bowl before. And I think it's a little bit of a downgrade in the ride for him from what we've seen him run in the past at this event. So I'm going to stick away from the Floodwaters, but maybe somebody else would want to take him as maybe a long shot there in that number 81F car. Now, moving on to Friday, we've got 8 more drivers. We've got Wesley Smith in the 44X. He's driving a Ripper S-Slinger. The 48H, that is the Flying Dutchman, Wout Hoffmans. You've got a Rookie of the Year contender with Kyle Busch in the 51K. 57A of Daniel Robinson, the 63F of Frankie Guarini, and we already mentioned that Ronnie Gardner will not be there, so do not take him. See Sam Johnson, the 72J, and then you've got the 95. Always solid is Chris Andrews in the Boss S-Slinger, number 95. For me, there's a couple guys that I like in this one. I've got asterisks next to him. Frankie Guarini, I think that he is very underrated. He does not race very much is the one thing for him. But whenever he does, man, he's always solid. He's in a really good car. Let me just double check. He's got good equipment, a Spike SR11. We've seen him run pretty well in a sprint car this year on limited occasions in Indiana. The other guy I like is Sam Johnson. He showed good speed at the Tulsa Shootout. Let's see what kind of car he's in. 72J, a Bullet by Spike Stanton SR11X. And, you know, Sam Johnson used to run for Keith Kunz. He's made a lot of progress as a driver over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think he's definitely somebody that you should be watching for in this group. If you're going to be narrowing it down to a couple of drivers, for me, it is Guarini, it is Johnson. And then I can't even really think of a third one. Like, honestly, I don't think Kyle Busch is pickable. So I'm going to mark him off. If he was one group lower, I think I would actually maybe look at Kyle Busch, but not going to do it for me. I don't know, man. Wout Hoffmans was kind of fast at the shootout, and he's in a really good car. Let me double check the car that Wout Hoffmans is in. A Bullet by Spike Speedway Toyota. It's that car that's owned by Grady Chandler. I think Wout Hoffmans is actually not that bad. I mean, I think that he's a guy that you could look for. If you're looking for a third pool pick, then maybe go with the 48H. But for me, I'm going to try and go with a guy that I think is fast. I think he tries to stay out of trouble as best as he can, but the problem is he doesn't race a ton, so it's a little bit of a risk, but I'm going to go with Frankie Guarini. I've seen him do some pretty good things with the USAC Western State Midget Series. He's ran well there before. Those, you know, a long time ago, hasn't ran in a couple of years, but he's got some of the best equipment in the group, and I think that he's been there enough times to know what to expect with the racetrack and things like that, as opposed to maybe a guy like a Kyle Busch or a Wout Hoffmans. So we'll see what he does, but I'm going to go with Frankie Guarini on Friday. Thursday is Matt Sherrill. Wednesday is Whaley. Tuesday is Nick Drake. And on Monday, I'm going with Alex Sewell. So those are my picks. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the comment, or hit the like button as well. Hit subscribe. And we will be talking to you guys later on today. I'm going to do Group 5 today as well because I'm running out of days to get this out before the Chili Bowl actually starts. So Group 5 will be coming at you later on this afternoon. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.